We want to now look at how do we load data in Stata. So we're going to first look at how do we load external data files that are foreign to Stata. Now data files that are internal to Stata or DTA files. So here we look at data files that are external to Stata like Excel and CSV files. Now when you want to load external data files in Stata that are other than the DTA files like Excel and CSV files. So for that, there are two options. You can either use file here, file, and then you can go to import. So you can use file and then you can use import. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can use the import command, right? So there are two options. Either use file from here, or the second option is to use the import command. Let's first look at how will we open Excel files. Now, we can't use the import command for this, where the syntax for this is going to be. So this is the syntax. So we can use the import command with the syntax import Excel because we're looking at how to open Excel files. And then you write in double quotation marks your file name, .xls, and then after the comma, you have options, right? There are different options that you can specify here, like first row, we'll look at that in a bit, cell range and all that. Right, so when you want to open Excel files in Stata, you do have the option to use the import command. For the syntax is import Excel, then you write your file name and then after comma, you have options. Right, but the easier approach to open an Excel file in Stata is to go to file, right? Is to use file, go to import, and then from here choose Excel spreadsheet. Why do you want to do it like this? So we would want to do it, so we can, right? So we can use the import command for which we have this syntax, right? But easier option is to go to the file, go to file, import Excel spreadsheet. Because once you import a file using this option, like once we do it in this way, what is going to happen is the corresponding command uh, is going to be executed in the results window over here, which can then be copied in a do file for reproducibility. Let's see what it means. So if I use file and then I go to import, and from here I try to open the Excel file, the corresponding command for this, right, which I could have typed in using the syntax, but the corresponding command I could get directly from the results window, and you can just copy it from there for reproducibility. Like for example, I go to file and I go to import and I do Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to browse now. Right. So when we're going to browse, so we're going to basically open this here. Right. And then what's going to happen over here is now we can see over here. So here is the file that we have browsed. And then you can choose the worksheet from here. Now there's a number of different options here that you want to see, right? In this a bit here. So now there are different options when importing Excel file, that if you were using the import command, then you would write all these options here. But right now, you can just choose the options from here directly. You don't have to specify them yourself if you were writing the command using import. Right. So here the options are: number one, you can see worksheet. Right here, you specify the name of the worksheet to import. Here we only have one sheet in this sheet one, right? If there were other sheets, then over here all those sheets would be visible and I could choose which one do I want to import. Right. Then there's an option of cell range. Cell range tells you what part of your data set you want to import. If you want to import here, it's obviously going to choose all, right? It's going to be A1 to D8, right? So if you want to just choose a subset of the data set, you can specify that in the cell range. So you specify the range of cells to import, right? And here you have an option, import first row as variable names. If your first row is variable names, which it does over here, we have name, performance scores, income, age. So if your first row has variable names, you will tick this, because now what will happen is now Stata will import the first row as variable names, right? And now, so this is something that you do choose if your first row of data is variable names. If I don't take this, then see, then what is going to happen is the variable names are ABCD, and this name, performance score, income, age is going to be considered as one observation, which is not true, right? So if your first row has your variable names, then you need to tick this to make sure that these appear as variable names, and then the observations start from the actual first data point, right? If you don't take this, then when you import this in Stata, your variable names are going to be ABCD, that's shown over here, and this is going to be your first row. This is going to be counted as an observation in your data set, which is not true. So we're going to choose this. Once we do OK, we'll notice that over here, what has happened is we can see that the command has been, like we said, the command is visible in the results window, right? So that's the idea over here. that let's just move this a bit over here, right? So like we said, once you use import, once you use the file option, right, you go to file and you go to import, and through that you basically import an Excel file. The corresponding command that we could have typed ourselves using the import option is reproduced in the do file, is executed in the do file, is executed in the results window, and from here we can copy it in the do file for reproducibility, right? So instead of having to write down the command ourselves, right, so we can see over here, we have this command, and yeah, so we have this command. Let's just make it wider, right? So like this. So we have this command, right? So we didn't write the command ourselves, but using file import, when we use that, so Stata executed the command in the results window, which we can copy in our do file now. So now here I have the command import Excel. Here I have my entire file name, taken a .xls, and then after the comma we have options. First row obviously is going to tell Stata to treat the first row in that Excel file as variable names, and the sheet specifies the sheet, right? And whenever you're importing any file, you should use the clear option, right? We should always use the clear option, right? It helps us to, it prevents an error when running the roof. And if I run this again, I can just copy this and run this again, right? So it has been run again, right? So that's the whole idea behind this, that if you use import file and then from there you open the Excel file, so then the command Stata will execute. The Stata will execute the command in the results window, and you can just copy it in your do file for reproducibility if you want to add other options to it.